to the Bonsall Zoning Board of Appeals Monday, April 20th meeting. Want to start off by welcoming Paul Michaelin, sorry, just want to welcome. The newest member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. He is replacing member Dan Hines, who we also want to thank for his service to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Seeing as we have a quorum, we're going to begin. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 16th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a second?
A second.
You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All the same.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so moving on to old business, we have application AD 26-0002, area variance for 163 Broad Street from Leibowitz Company LLC. I understand we're looking to table that, correct?
The applicants asked for a continuance, so this is their second request for tabling. The board can decide in the future if they want to continue this request or make a decision.
Board, how we feel?
What's the reason?
There's been, it's a communication between the property owner and the lessee. They don't have a property owner permission letter yet.
Okay. I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On to new business. We have multiple variance requests from Elizabeth Krebs, represented by Builtwell Construction, for property address 28 Garfield Street. Again, we have 3 area variances, seeking relief from side yard dimensional requirements and from maximum lot coverage requirements to accommodate construction of a 395 square foot addition to the rear of an existing single family home. Would the applicant please get the photo?
Good evening and thank you. I want to say welcome aboard. It's a big job. I was 16 years planning board in Queensbury, so we always gave great recommendations to the variance board, and it's a very important position. I'm not trying to schmooze you all, but really, thank you. It's time consuming, but it's important. Usually, sorry, don't need a mic, so if I'm too loud, let me know.
No, you're good.
We're back here. I'm here with the owner of Elizabeth Krebs, and we were here a year and a half ago.
It was December 2024.
Okay, we're here and we got a approval for a variance for an addition, and we got approved for that. So Elizabeth contacted me, and I came and looked at it, and due to some, the internal things that we found out with the plumbing, main shades for plumbing and electrical and that, I said, geez, this is, a little tough this way. So I said, we couldn't go all the way across for the variance because it's an average city lot type. So I approached planning and Devin, and we talked about this, and he said, unfortunately, Brad, you didn't fill out a building permit in enough time, so the variance is expired, so you have to file for a new variance. So we started that process. In the meantime, being the type lot, we tried to acquire some land next door to the north, so we didn't need to come back and see you guys. So, and I have a contract and a letter that came from the attorney, but after finding out, looking into it and had the contract ready to drawn up for the purchase, unfortunately the neighbor's in a little financial problem with the bank and it became very complicated. So instead of waiting for everything to go through with whatever they're going to do and having to deal with a third-party bank and everything else, we thought we'd just fill out the application to see what we could do to have the addition go all the way across. And we shrunk it down from 16 feet down to 14 feet. So that's basically where we're at. I'm here to ask for about 7 feet in relief on the north side, so we can bring the addition end to end, which would flow better for the kitchen and the plumbing and everything else that we have to deal with. So that's where we're at, and be happy to answer any questions.
I felt my personal review of the application was pretty straightforward. Obviously, we did recognize the applicant, their previous variance, and, just had, we couldn't move forward with it, but here we are. Sounds like it might be a better project. So, want to open it up to the zone, to the rest of the board members here, see if you guys have any questions.
Oh, excuse me, and I also have 2 letters from the neighbors on either side that they don't have a problem with the addition.
You want to give those to the city attorney, please?
Would you, do you want, that's the letter from the attorney and the contract, I don't know if you
Yeah,
need
we'll
it,
take
just
that
to
if
show
you-
that
if
we,
that's all right.
yeah,
Yeah.
is that all right? Yeah. Just to go to show that we've tried every avenue.
Question.
Yes,
Is the garage used?
the garage is not used, Betsy does not drive,
Okay.
so, we're,
And the parking that's required, can you tell me, like, what, based on, let's say, the survey, where would that be? This is all being asked in the context of the narrowing of the space available for cars to, for example, get to the garage.
there's enough for, there's enough space up to the corner of the house, and there actually would be enough space, with the addition. But you could get 2 cars.
7 foot 1 inch would be the passable area between the property line and the corner of the new addition, which my Prius is basically 7 feet across.
7 feet across, correct.
So it would be, if in the future, say, the owner to the north would like to put a wall there, if that happens, and then the cars couldn't really get back to the back of the property at that point.
The neighbor to the north, it's kind of it's probably one of the bigger lots in the city. It's kind of a double pack. And Betsy, Elizabeth is, in the future, once everything gets finalized, is interested in purchasing a strip for anything in the future, or possibly, at the time that she moves and wants to sell it, they have it. But, as it is right now, the garage is just a single little garage, just sitting there, and really just, for equipment, lawnmowers, snow blower, bike. No, you plan on using it, and you're able to get 2 cars up next to the houses, or 3 if they're compact, or 1 if I pull my truck in.
Yeah, that's the thing. At the house right now, it's 8 foot 4 inch setback at the back corner of the existing house. And the driveway tapers down from like 10 feet starting just at the back of the beginning of the house. So there's a concern there for, further restricting that space going backwards, even for compact cars. Is the thing that.
Well, that's if you're planning on using the garage and parking in the garage. Since she doesn't own a vehicle, that will, there's no need for that. Like I said, she is planning on, and Mrs. Bramer has the, a contract that we have that, will be asked for once things get finalized with the neighbor. For that sliver we need for, any future access back to the driveway.
the prior variance that was approved? Do you have that? Patty?
It was very similar. Looking it up today, let's see, it was about, I think it was 7 feet. Oh, we have it here. This is confusing.
The variance was on the south side of the neighbor, which is the fence, and he's just as close, if not closer. I mean, like I said, it's a typical city lot,
Yeah.
when, 100, 200 years ago, when all the lots were, and then all of a sudden, people said, ooh, we can buy a car, we need a garage, But yeah, so that was, we got that to run the addition, I think it was like 6 feet off the property line.
The resolution says 4 feet 6 inches.
Is that what it was?
Side yard setback. The main difference is that the original request was for a 234 square foot addition with a 184 square foot deck. This is lack of the deck.
We removed the deck and we shrunk it down, instead of 16 feet up to 14 feet up.
Is the total amount of square footage and percentage that you're going of lot coverage less or more than your original?
Can I confer with my co-partner?
That's the first request. It's the same.
I think it's down in there.
You've requested the same.
It's the same.
Is it this?
The lot coverage?
Yeah, both requests were for 56%.
I went over this with Devin. Since we're shrinking it down but widening it over, it pretty much was pretty close within I think he said 1.2%.
Between the two different.
Right.
Do you have any more questions? Okay, I think you can sit down.
Thank you.
Anybody from the public who would wish to comment or question the applicants?
Hi, my name is Neil Oldenquist. I am not working on this current iteration right now with the two applicants, but I worked on the previous iteration with Elizabeth Krebs. And so, yes, the difference is that the deck got removed so that they could widen it, but to address the parking concern, it was my understanding every house in Glens Falls is required to have space for 2 cars off-street parking, but there isn't a garage requirement. So it would still satisfy that. There's some room between where it narrows down, even if she weren't to purchase that piece of property next door to it. And I think when we originally presented it, we kind of made the case that the zoning overlay was done after so many of these houses in this neighborhood were built, and so it was, in many cases, out of the box, they weren't compliant in terms of lot coverage and setbacks. So that was sort of some background to the original application.
Did you provide a letter, did you provide a letter from the neighbor to the north that you have been in discussion with regarding the partial purchase of, or part of their land?
I'm sorry.
Is that neighbor who you are in contact with to the north, is that person one of the
Well, it's not a
letters?
conflict, but,
Yes, he is
Yeah.
one of the letters.
but there is a letter in there from him
Can we
saying that
see,
he's
can I see
all
that letter?
They have a letter that the applicant wrote to Mr. Mulligan asking that landowner to just sign off, so there's a signature of him.
Sign off on what they're proposing or sign off on the sale? of the land?
Not on the sale, just on what they're proposing now. And
So
then,
he's just recognizing it and accepting it, basically?
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
He was all for the purchase, and like I said, Springer does have a contract that we had drawn up, and then the attorney got back to us and said, look, this is what could happen. Unfortunately, we acquired it from him and paid him for it, and the bank's like, whoa, whoa, so then they attach a lien on to that part. It was just complicated, so we're just hoping when the dust settles, we can follow through with the,
Oh, yeah.
with that little sliver of purchase.
And that's, yeah, one of the interests in that.
So one thing to note is that there are two property owners on that piece to the north, and they have Mr. Mulligan, but not Ms. McGraw on that letter. And then the contract that he's referring to is not signed, but it does contain contingencies about removing the clearing title concerns and making sure that the mortgage is taken off of that piece that she wants to buy.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not signed yet, they haven't executed that contract.
Good.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, no more questions? All right. Do we want to do one blanket request here, or do we want to do it individually?
The request is to be a two-side.
There's two area variances and then the variance for the lot coverage.
They are, different requests.
Okay.
What is it? Defer to
It's,
council?
I would say I defer to the board's preference. And my preference would be that you do them individually.
Individually.
So we have,
And under the guidance of our attorney counsel. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Okay, so in that case, then we're going to look at,
Are we gonna vote on each of them?
correct, AB 26-0003 to allow an 8-foot 6-inch side yard setback where 15 feet is required, 6 foot 6 inches of relief is sought. So to grant this request, we must consider whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties that would be created by granting this area variance. No. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. No, this seems to be a viable path. Whether the request area variance is substantial, doesn't seem to be substantial based on what is actually on the property and what they're seeking to achieve. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on the physical environment, physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, no. And then whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which would be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. It is self-created because by virtue of the addition, that creates the issue, but I don't think it's a detriment. That being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve AB 26-0003. Do I have a second? We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On to AB 26-0032 to allow a 7-foot 11-inch side yard setback where 15 feet is required. 7-foot 1 inch of relief is being sought. Again, we're going to go through the checklist, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. No. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue. No. Whether the whether the requested area variance is substantial, not overwhelmingly substantial. No. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Yes. But not detrimental to the applicant. Do I have a second? Second? All in favor? Aye. 6-00033 to allow 56% lot coverage where 35% is allowed. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. No. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the variance. No. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. On paper, this does appear to be substantial, but the actual footprint of the situation right now is actually 51.2%. So the actual change is less than 5%. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on physical or environmental conditions of in the neighborhood or district, no. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, again, technically yes, but not detrimental to the applicant. Do I have a second? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. You're all done.
Thanks.
I just want to thank you guys, and you guys are as professional as Queensborough is. Are good neighbors, so thank you all.
Absolutely, thank you, and good luck with the project. Hopefully you can move forward on this one.
Yes, thank you. I'll be in touch with those letters of approval.
Okay, so moving on to the next applicant. We have Joe and Shauna DeSantis, applications number AB 26-00041 and AB 26-00042, seeking two area variances at 19 Coolidge. The applicant seeks relief from the required side yard setback and relief from maximum lot coverage allowed to construct an approximate 15 square foot addition to the rear of the structure.
Well-
The applicant approach.
Hi, my name is Nina Oldenquist, Design Architecture and Planning. I'm here representing Joe and Shauna DeSantis. The project that we're seeking relief from is they would like to expand their kitchen over what is their existing back porch. Right now, the side yard setback is 15 feet, and their existing house, which was there well before the zoning was implemented for Glens Falls, the setback is 13 and a half feet. So if you look at the plans that we included, you can see what the existing footprint is. And you'll see that, which shows the dashed line where the setback is and their existing porch in the back. And all they want to do is bump their kitchen out and use the same foundation that's being used for the porch, make that enclosed space so that they can enlarge their kitchen. They're going to have a new entrance, and so those will be steps now that will take the place of the steps that are existing and go down to the driveway. That'll increase the lot coverage by 23 square feet, but we're orienting those to the back of the property so that we don't run afoul of the side yard setback for those steps.
The new steps are the addition.
The new steps, yeah. Because the existing steps into the house, to the side, are coming from, outside of the setback.
Does the board have any questions about this project?
I mean, honestly, my interpretation is it's extremely small. I mean, really, really small as far as moves go. They're basically over their same impermeable area.
No change whatsoever. to the
Yeah, I
footprint.
mean, this is
But we-
working within and being sensitive, not being egregious at all, in my personal opinion.
I agree.
I would agree as well.
there anybody from the public who would like to question or comment on this application? Seeing none. Guess we will make a motion. We have two variance requests. We're gonna make two separate votes here. So, AB 26 -00041 to allow a 13-foot 6-inch setback where 15 feet is required. We're going to consider whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. No. Whether the benefits sought by the application can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. No. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. No. Whether this proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. It's technically yes, but there's very, very nominal impact happening here. So I would like to make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Do you have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 2, AB 26-00042 to allow 33.85% lot coverage where maximum 30% is allowed. We must consider whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. No. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue. No. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. No. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Technically, yes, but certainly not significant here. I would like to make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we have applications for 146 Maple Street, seeking 2 area variances, AB 26-0051 and AB 26-00052. Applicant is Kelly Feldman, representing agent Adam Feldman. I have another sheet over here.
There's actually 3.
Yep. There's 3.
However, I will say, the second one is a pre-existing condition.
Just because it's not conforming and it wasn't
The house,
there.
we have record of the house being there.
Nope, you are correct. I was looking at the old one. Mistake. There are 3 area variances being requested here. The third being AB 26-00053. The applicant seeks relief from rear yard and 2 front yard dimensional requirements and density requirements to construct 2 additional units on the 3rd floor of the structure, resulting in a total of 4 units in the building. Mr. Feldman, will you approach?
Hello, Adam Feldman. Most of you probably know me because I ran the local area Habitat for Humanity. So the last time I was here, I was representing them. Now I'm actually representing my wife/our investment. We are now committed to affordable housing in the private side, not on the nonprofit side. So we own a currently approved 3-family home with only 2 viable units. And we are going to be creating 2 additional units, so going from 3 approved to lived in to a total of 4 units. So we're actually creating 2, from a practical perspective, 2 new units. From a zoning perspective, we're really only asking for 1 additional unit. It's just kind of complicated, but I think we tried to get that square. And to make that happen, we need to put a deck on the back to access the 3rd story, because otherwise there's no interior viable access. And that is the short version. Happy to go into details as requested. Oh, and I'm doing this in partnership with Jeff Flag and the city. We have grant funding, which I know is not really part of your purview, but just figured you'd be curious. that we are partnering with the city to using their vacant access grant through the state that sort of tries to create new units in the city that aren't really financially viable without assistance, and they'll come with a 15-year affordability restriction on it.
What's that restriction?
It's, we are going to a 60% AMI restriction. So,
Who's governing that restriction?
New York State grant.
Oh, it's in part with the grant that's connected to that, okay.
yeah, so the short version, yeah, so I am committed to maintaining that affordability at the exposure of having to pay back to the city, which should I have to use it someone else.
If you end up paying early, do you still, you're contractually obligated for that, for the debt tenure of that, or only of either of those contingencies?
Sorry, say that again?
Sure. If you were to pay the loan off early,
Yeah.
would you still have to maintain the affordability for that, for the tenure of what you've agreed to already? Or is it one or the other?
So I don't know the exact clause, but it's strongly discouraged from paying back. There are penalties, so I can't. It would be economically unwise to pay back, I guess, is how it's designed. Yes.
The point of the grant program is to open access to vacant rental
Absolutely.
units and maintain affordability, so that
I get
that
it.
10-year length is really kind of.
Yeah. So in theory, if Glens Falls had some crazy boom where every house was suddenly worth $10 million, then it probably would be economically. Like this is New York City. It potentially would be economically viable, and there are instances where that occurred, like in sort of in the Harlem area, where this kind of thing applied, where you had 3x appreciation over a decade, and then that math pans out. But all around the country, that's the only one that I know of where that actually became economically viable.
Anecdotally, I don't know the particulars of this grant, but I do know that the state is being a little bit more tight on some of the language in the grants that they're putting out right now, and there might be that financial component, but that timeline is I would again imagine, is very a separate part of that contract. Again, I haven't seen it. I would just surmise that there's a likelihood.
Yeah, I'm not disputing anything in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying I've always thought it was I thought it was a requirement to not have a prepayment penalty in New York State. Not saying there might be a clause that says you can prepay, but you still have to have the 10-year time limit of what they were saying for that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you're even doing that. I'm just
I don't know that it's related to this application.
Right, exactly. Right, so it could be either
And
one.
Glens Falls we are committed to this as well, so we would highly disincentivize someone to get rid of that.
Yep.
And just for the record, that is not a detriment. It has anything to do with the application.
Exactly.
It's great for conversation for sure.
You're right.
But I just want to make sure that we all understand that.
I was just being curious to
Absolutely.
be whatever you want to call it.
The applicant opened up with the.
No, absolutely.
I'm happy to do that.
I do have one genuine question about the financial aspect here is, you indicated that it's not feasible to access the third story by any other means. Could you elaborate a little bit
Sure.
on what that, I imagine that is a pretty big undertaking if you were to maybe go through the units.
Yeah, correct. So right now, the only access to that third story is through the second story. So basically, you have to go up the interior flight of stairs, enter the living room, enter the bedroom, enter the closet to go upstairs. So it's
So that vertical circulation you're proposing is essentially going to be your main circulation for access of everything. You're not going to have internal stairs for circulation. That's your only
for these two units.
but for the second floor.
No, they have their own interior stairs.
Okay.
Yeah, currently. But to get to the third floor, the stairs to the third floor are in the closet of the bedroom of the second story unit.
Now, does this request meet fire safety standards?
So the request does not, but the request allows us to when we go to the building department. So it'll be built to code, I think
Is it essentially heavy timber? Or no, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And there is fire resistant rules, but
Sure.
The fire department has commented on this application that's in front of the planning board, which is for site plan and architectural review. They've indicated it will, because it's over 3 units, it is now, needs to be inspected under fire code. There are certain things they need to include, like fire extinguishers, exit signs, things of that matter, which will be, I think, it'll be part of the requirements of gaining the site plan review and the building permits.
which is the next step.
Can I just ask sort of a clarifying logistical question? I'm sorry, but
No?
so you got this photo with what's there now, kind of.
Yeah, with the exception of that current deck on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
We,
So
talking to the building department, that has been removed because we deemed it unsafe, just not from a practical perspective, we felt not comfortable having it. So we took it down, and now we're replacing it with brand new. So that's already occurred.
So again, just so I can visualize,
Yeah.
so this is going to replace all this stuff, and then it'll look like this eventually.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for the visualization, appreciate it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the zoning board members?
I'm curious about parking.
Yeah, it is relatively tight, but I think, do you guys have a site plan as well? I think you do.
Site.
Should.
Yeah, it should be mapped out.
Oh,
It's an L-shaped parking lot.
This is 18 feet for vehicle.
That's P. That's not really. You observe.
It seems to say 18
Yeah.
feet for 3 vehicles, like there's 18 feet vehicle, 18 feet vehicle 3 times.
Yeah, that sounds correct, yeah.
That's,
And then there's also, and I think that's only one section, because it's an L.
so you need basically.
Oh, right, yeah, 2 more, so yeah, 5.
Yeah, five spots.
So what your requirement for 4 would be what, 6 parking spots? I think it's 1.5 per unit?
I'm gonna check, using general commercial though, right? Because you've done
Correct.
one, yeah. It might be different.
But it's being used as an R2, no? So I thought it fall under the R.
But it's in the general commercial zone.
Using the 2C1.
There's GC1. I mean, it is literally an R. But,
I just have concerns whether, I mean, the whole, one big part of this move is to increase from 3 to 4.
correct.
If you had 3, you wouldn't technically need it, although practically you would. 'Cause you're naturally.
I would still need the zoning I still need to be here in house limit of 3 units. I wouldn't need the density, but I would need the other 2 setbacks.
Well, I'm saying technically you could create internal circulation to go to the 3rd from the 2nd, but it's not really viable in splitting that to be 2 units to do that.
Which unit are you splitting to? Sorry.
The 3rd floor, the one you have proposed.
Yeah, it's not practical to go through the 2nd unit because I would lose lots of living space.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I guess, my concern is when it's tied together. When you go from 3 units to 4, that's more people or more occupants,
Correct.
therefore more parking requirements.
Yeah.
And it just looks,
It's tight.
Like it's tight.
Yeah, it'll be 2 studios, so it's an extremely high probability that it'll be individuals who live there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you got an L-shaped driveway, right?
correct.
I mean, do you have a parking layout shown or anything?
Yeah, I think, yeah. This gentleman
I
mentioned.
can see what I think are 5 lots shown. It's at the very.
Oh, I see
Yeah,
the
down
dash, I
there
see the
and up
dash
there.
lines, I see it, I see, that's the
Mhm.
indication of the each, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 5, and they are like bumper to bumper.
We want to use every inch.
Huh?
Our goal is to use every inch. That's how we create affordable housing. It's one of the tools we have.
What's the driveway surface? Is it asphalt?
It's like loose gravel right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's permanent,
Yeah,
that's
correct.
where my mind is.
Yes.
He's got it.
Otherwise, you pretty much got nothing permeable. Yeah.
Well, did you find the?
Well, it's still central commercial where parking is not required, so it would be 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit.
So you need 6, but you're only showing 5 is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So is that part of the variance? Are we discussing that for a variance as well, or?
No, we don't, this board doesn't have purview over parking.
That's
I understand it is a variance requirement, but to date, that's not what this board has looked at.
But the site plan team and the planning level in theory will be integrated into that conversation.
I mean, there's just a couple variances about yard setbacks and stuff. I mean, not to be a schmuck about it, but it's like, I don't, like you said, parking, we're not really supposed to get into, right? Like, it's just the yard, you know, the setbacks and stuff, right?
I will note that the two front areas, this is a corner lot, those we are seeing are pre-existing, so,
Right.
you know, we're not.
To me, it's more about lot coverage and rear. Those are the issues. I'm pulling it in for the parking because it's associated with the increase in the number of units, which I think it is. But yeah, you're 100% right, pre-existing, so I'm not even really looking at it. Those aspects.
And the lot
So,
coverage in this
parking-
district is 70%.
Oh, really? Oh, and what is this right now?
It didn't, we didn't.
68, no, it's like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, you're good with that.
67,
Okay. That's
You
great.
know, I gotta imagine that if I'm seeking an apartment, living space, I'm considering my parking needs. And so, you know, if I have a couple of vehicles and there's not a parking, I'm not gonna go there. I mean, you know, that's just, it's in, I would say, close to downtown,
Mhm.
walkability factor, trust scores differently than if this were being, I don't know, more Queensbury or Hartford, for example, where that parking is pretty critical because your access to anywhere is reliant solely on your personal vehicle. So I think that, you know, there's some other factors that need to be considered here when we're thinking about parking. There is parking here. It's not like there isn't.
Are they all essentially studios? All, no. Only the 2 new ones are gonna be studios, and the others are how many bedrooms? in
2
there?
bedrooms.
Each are 2
Yeah,
bedrooms?
yeah. So it's a family that lives on the middle floor and a couple that lives on the top floor.
Can I ask a question about the actual variance request? So can you just explain, you've got 5 and 5 existing, and you want to get 15. Can you just, like, why is that? I just wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
so the deck is literally, the current deck is 5 feet.
Yeah.
And the new deck will also be 5 feet.
Okay.
So it's pre-existing, so it was requested to be included in here. So basically, there's no, the area that the new deck is gonna take from that line won't change at all.
Oh, okay.
But it will go, I think, 2.5 feet further on the other side. I know there are 2 fronts, so.
It's very nominal change in lot coverage.
Right.
Thanks.
And they're under this, and like you said, they're under that limit. They're not even asking, that's not even part of it.
Are you saying that you could not find a way to make a staircase to the 3rd floor for any use of the 3rd floor?
That's correct.
To the 2nd floor? That's very surprising.
Very annoying. Agreed.
I mean, if it was a single family home, it'd be very different, but it's not actually acting like that.
Again, I think if you look at the logistics of this, like, could he theoretically, but let's talk that out. What does that actually look like compared to the plan he has?
Just like, yeah, I have to
Now, I mean, you
kick a family out.
right, you're significantly cutting back on living space in the second unit.
Oh,
And, you know, and that's had, in my mind, I would imagine, a significant cost difference to the current plan. So you have 2 different things going against another method to achieve what he's trying to achieve. This is actually, and if we're looking at what we have to consider to grant the variance, this is a more ideal application than the different method.
Well, this addition to the back, it really represents an 8-foot by the width of the building, by the height of the building, addition to the building. It really becomes an open air entry to the whole building.
It's covered, I think.
So, correct.
Well, I mean, open air in the sense that
Yeah, it's not
Air.
really enclosed, yeah.
it's open, there's railings and stuff.
Yeah,
And so there'll be quite a bit of traffic up and down this staircase that becomes the main entry.
2 single people.
Just for the top floor.
Yeah, yeah, we are considering providing an additional, because there'll be a deck on the middle floor, because that's just how code works. We may put actually a wall into that second one, so they have an access, just like a nice little porch to sit outside. Just
An opening, you're like a door opening.
Yeah, door.
Yeah.
This stuff represent kind of an 8-foot addition to the back of the building, where some sort of living be.
Yeah, so right now, that 8-foot extension already exists, but it's on the ground level.
Yeah.
So really, we're just adding layers to it.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like,
it effectively becomes 3 useful floors for the people who live in those units.
yeah,
Correct?
So it's quite an increase in the intensity of use of the back of the building. And it does represent, right now, there's nothing being used on the ground level to speak of. But all of a sudden, people who live behind will find 8 foot deep by the width of the building, by the height of the building, pretty well occupied space that whatever's going on there, they'll be quite close to. Would you say that?
You mean the neighbors would be quite close to
The
it?
neighbor right beside who's now having increased activity there.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the activity is the lower level units, like in the summer and fall, hang out on that back porch.
Gentlemen?
Yeah, so the current tenants of the first floor will hang out on the back porch. And so the only thing that is new is the little structure that is now taller, and 2 people walking up and down the stairs, coming and going from their living area.
And 2 people and their friends and et cetera, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're building 2 450 square foot studios, so you can squeeze a few people in there, but it's not like a big giant loft for 2,000 square feet where you can have a meaningful gathering.
I think it's important that we don't overstate, some of the, potential uses and traffic that are going to be going into this unit. It's certainly an appropriate exercise, but, I think we need to keep in context of the actual space and the people that are likely to be living there.
I mean, my interpretation when I look at it, especially looking at the photo from the back, is honestly it's almost like an air rights analysis, because you're not doing anything more from a ground floor area perspective. Yes, it's not as in good condition, it's going to be a little nicer version, more robust, more structurally sound, but how much of the ground are you taking up today? How much are you taking up in your proposition? There's not a big delta, it just goes up higher to then allow you to then directly access the 3rd floor.
Correct.
I'm looking at it from an analytical standpoint in that sense, so. I would prefer to see if the 3rd floor was covered, only because I envision people at the 3rd floor level getting out, they have to use that. There's not an option, that is how they get in and out. And all of a sudden when it snows, they gotta move that snow somehow. Now they gotta shovel it onto very, essentially completely occupied spaces with the cars 24 feet down.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want the snow coming down 24 feet nice.
it is going to be covered.
Huh?
It will be covered.
Oh, you will have, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the
building
discussion,
department, yeah.
then
it's
the
gonna have the
discussion is
same-
gonna be, this is more architecture, not planning, but how does the snow and ice not
Yeah,
come crashing down
fast.
the cars? But it's a tight lot and you're trying to, I get it. Yep. But from a zoning perspective, I don't think it's a huge delta. We're approving pre-existing, and the back is a little bit, but not really from how much of a ground floor ratio of how much occupied space. Yeah.
Any more questions? Any more comments? Absolutely.
How will you allocate the parking spaces?
Again, that's not really germane to
Yeah.
this application.
Well, I think what we've identified is that in this zone, the parking requirements do apply and he has 4 units, he's asking for 4 units, and he only has 5 lots. So
He's deficient by one right now.
he is. So he either needs to find a spot for a 6th, or, the reason I bring this up is because, not because parking itself is within our purview as the ZBA, it's not. But what I'm thinking is that the applicant is going to need a variance from the parking requirements if he can't put a 6th space in there.
Yeah, I have to claim ignorance a little bit in that you show standard cars. What if you showed 6 compact cars? I don't know, I don't have the answer for that, that's like
So it
gray.
actually has minimum,
What?
Why?
Yeah, I would have thought
So,
so.
a question, wouldn't he have, so if he's not gonna get a variance for it.
No, no, that-
he'd have to
18,
come back,
9 by
right?
18.
It wouldn't affect this, would it?
No, no,
well, I'm a little concerned that it might, I don't know, I
9 by 18.
I have not been studying the exact layout of what the variances are asking for. Is it, do you think that you can approve or consider what the variances are in front of you tonight without having the parking question resolved?
What does the city require for him to move forward?
I think at the very least, it'll be caught in site plan and get come back.
So I can't ask for it tonight.
Because under our code, it would be an area variance, which we would have to notice. For us to make that decision, yeah, it hasn't been noticed.
Okay, so, but we are precluded from moving forward on these 3 if we are so
I'm
inclined.
not saying you are definitely, I'm just a little concerned that if there's some reason the rest of the layout needs to change, you might have to come back and redo them anyway. But if that's,
I think you'd be coming back only to address the parking, not that. Now, does that mean they might have to change the other thing to meet that requirement? That's very possible. Or it could simply mean he found a dedicated spot somewhere and he said, everything else is fine, I provided this. That's how we address it.
Do parking variances go through zoning or through planning?
I was just double checking, and I'm pretty sure this is not one of those instances the planning board will have the authority to like waive the requirement.
I think it's both.
I think it's gonna have to come back to us. Either in, a variance from the number of spaces, or like to your point, maybe he could ask for smaller spaces. Smaller,
I think
minimum.
I was being more cheeky about it when I said that.
I think that's a valid point, because we have dimensional requirements for the spaces in our code. So he could ask for a variance from the length of the spaces.
On a future application.
We went over it.
Yes. Yes.
And that, I think the 2 options is you can move forward with these variances tonight. Either way, the applicant can go to zoning, or can go to planning board. And I think either way, it'll come back here after site plan review. So,
And then it's gonna go to planning again.
yeah, right, because they can't make the decision without the variances.
I believe you're gonna need to, yeah. But doesn't mean any of these issues that you're talking about right now today aren't gonna go away. But you may have to revise the whole thing again and come back there with that. If the parking means you have to adjust that, then you would have to start zero.
I'm a hopeful person, and I'd like to think that a solution can be found downstream.
I
And
agree.
maybe we can approve these individually, of course, we're both through the process.
Yeah.
And we don't have to have adjustments on this.
I also think there is a possibility, I'm just putting it out there, that you might find an easier way to make the project go to fruition, and maybe to find an alternate parking spot without putting kibosh on the whole project. It's just,
Yeah, but the standard practice of Ziegler's Falls is to come here, basically get denied because of parking, go to planning.
no, you could come in for parking too, I think. You could have come in with that, just not listed on your.
If they've been identified.
Correct. You just didn't identify it as one of your multi.
And can I have it now live, or do you need a 2 weeks of notice to the neighbors? Is that what you were saying? Is that why I can't just literally add it real time?
It's got to be a notice.
We need a
Yeah.
public notice.
Bummer.
But we can address all the things on the table today right now. Which I think we should.
Any other questions or comments? from the public that would like to weigh in? Please, please, yes.
Hi, I don't know if I can state my name.
Yes, please.
Arca Casella, A-R.
You speak into the mic, yeah, just.
Arkel Casella, ARAKALCASSELLA. I live behind the building, and I'm not gonna say I'm for or opposed. That's not why I'm here. I just want my voice heard. My schedule's weird. I don't know if I can make another one. I will say I super appreciate the work that he has done. There were issues with the prior owner that never got handled and caused major damage. So I appreciate it. It looks better. I own outright, have deed to my house. It was a disaster when I bought it, slowly getting there over the last few years. I love that things are starting to look better and love the idea of affordable housing. It's a huge issue. And again, so is parking. Right now, downstairs, there's 3 cars. The second floor has 1, despite there being 2 people. There's an SUV, a pretty large sedan, and a big work truck. It's a paved driveway, and the one side, in that, like, the Maple Street side, like, kind of behind me, they kind of have to squish 2 cars next to each other, and, like, they're on the grass and stuff, which, cool, whatever, no one really cares. My concern is, I just really want to make sure that, like, is there a way to make sure that only one person can occupy a space? Because everybody needs affordable housing, everybody needs housing in general. Most people have somebody over, and most people have at least 1 car. And there's already parking issues between the people across from us and the current building. They're just like, there's a random truck that's been parked, like, outside my house almost every day this week. And then it's fine, like, I get it, everyone has a social life, you have friends, the people downstairs. I like who's there right now, I have no complaints. I just don't want to have complaints. And I just want to make sure, like, again, that my voice is heard. There is already a parking issue with visitors and whatever. The noise has been fine, I have no issue with that. I just don't want there to be an issue. So I don't know what the solution is. I just want it to be thought about. Because let's say 2 couples move into these 2 studios. I've shared a camper with someone for a year. People can do small spaces and they like each other. It's not an issue. But if those 2 people have 2 cars, and then the other 2 people have 2 cars, and the other people have 3 cars, and say the second floor people want to get another car, that's well within their right. That's 9 people, 9 cars, 10 cars. Like, it's just not there. And there is no overnight street parking, which is already abused. Usually not in winter anymore, but it's an issue. And I just wanted to say that I kind of miss the second floor deck. I used to see those neighbors more. But it's a really good neighborhood. It's getting better. I just want it to keep getting better. And I do love the idea of having more affordable spots. But it's just, as somebody who's right there, like, our properties touch, like, I've had people literally park in front of my driveway more days than not. People just don't pay attention. I don't know who goes to what building, and it's not always that building, it's not the building across, it's just random people. So I don't know who's in charge of that, who to complain to. Other people have complained. One of my neighbors complains all the time. So just parking in general in our little area really needs to be thought about. I don't know if there's a deal. There used to be a deal with the former, it's now the 156 Tavern. There used to be a deal where people could park there overnight for that building, for his building, and the one across, because there's not enough parking there either. I don't know if that's still a thing since there's a new owner down there, but maybe that is something that he could look into. But I think there are options, I just don't know what they are because I just live there. But that's all I wanted to say. But I do really appreciate what visually has happened and safety-wise has already happened. But yeah, sorry.
No, I would say 2 points to your questions is, no, he can't dictate if a couple or a couple with a child want to live in a studio. He rents the studio. And there's no like rule that only one person can live there. So that's no to that. But he's only required for X parking, meaning 1.5 per year.
Yeah.
If there was 3 young people and they wanted to live in that studio and they all had a hatchback each, he's not required to give 3 spots because they have 3 spots. That's on them to find parking, and that's not his problem.
Which
so,
I think-
fundamentally,
I would
It's not.
advise if this all goes through, that you might want to say, hey, just FYI, there's no overnight street parking. Because the neighbors are everybody in the neighborhood's pretty good, like, oh, hey, just FYI, I know you just moved in, like, there is no overnight street parking, you're gonna get a ticket. It's not always the case, but if people don't know, they don't know, so it's an issue, parking might be an issue. I would love to turn the new Hoffman's car wash into a parking garage, but yeah, that was all I was saying. I don't know if there's some other way to, like, I don't know, he would run, somebody must have the space to run. I only have 1 spot, so it's not gonna be me, but I don't know if the tavern guy, the new guy, or whatever, would still be, I don't know what's going on, but that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. On the subject of parking, to the board, sounds like we're going to revisit this conversation, so I'd like to request a reserve any further discussion on parking for that time. Thank you. Okay, so let's move forward. So we're going to do
Yeah,
seeker first.
yes.
The previous ones were type 2 action seekers. This one is different. This is unlisted. ZBA and Planning Board will conduct an uncoordinated review. And on that, I will hand over to our City Council.
Yes, so the agenda said that we were going to have the planning board do lead agency, but just to help coordinate the flow of the application, we're gonna do an uncoordinated review tonight of the 3 variances. So I'm gonna ask the questions. I know we don't always do seeker here, so I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown. I'm gonna ask the questions. Chair, if you could just shout out an answer, that'd be great. And if anybody wants to object, we can stop, pause, and we can talk about it and come up with an answer. And then at the end, we'll have a motion for a negative declaration or a positive declaration. So as we're going through these, think about all 3 of the variances, because we'll just do seeker for one seeker for all 3.
Very good.
Thank you. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? And I should have said, the options are either no or small impact on this particular question could occur, or the other option is moderate to large impact may occur. Do you need me to read it again?
Please.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
I don't think so.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land?
Slight, but very reasonably so.
Yeah, it's okay to just say small.
Okay, small.
When there's something, but it's not moderate to large, smaller. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
Impaired, no.
So no for that one. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area, which doesn't apply here, so no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
Small.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
Very small.
Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
Very small.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies? I don't think we had any identified here, so that's no. Unless anybody else, okay? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Okay. So given the review and your answers, I would suggest that you take a motion for a negative declaration that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse impacts.
I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have multiple seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Back to you.
All right. Now on to the various requests. So we're going to look at the three individually and go through our handy-dandy checklist. AV 26-00051 to allow for a 10-foot 6-inch rear yard setback where 15 feet is required. Relief sought 4 feet 5 inches. Is this request, will this render an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties? No. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a method feasible for the applicant to pursue? No, we did discuss that at length, I feel. And then whether the requested area variance is substantial? No. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created? Technically, yes, but not so far as to warrant the negative declaration, in my opinion. I would like to make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. AV 26-00052 to allow a setback of 5 feet in the 2 front yards where 20 feet is required. Relief sought 15 feet. Is this, and will this render an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood? No, that is a very dense neighborhood with lot coverages being pretty significant already. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method more feasible to the applicant? No. Whether the request area variance is substantial? No. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions in the neighborhood? No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created? Yes. I would like to make a motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. AV 26-00053 to allow for an 887.5 square foot per unit size when 2,500 square feet is required. The lot size is 3,550, and the applicant wishes to establish 4 units. We sought 1,612.5 square feet per unit. Is this going to render an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood? No. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue? No. This is certainly the most feasible path forward. Whether the requested area variance is substantial? I would say no. In fact, I think this is going to be an efficient use considering the goal of the project. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created? Yes. Again, they are looking to add some more units, but this is going to be to the overall benefit of the city and the neighborhood. I would like to make a motion to approve this variance request. Do I have a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Adam, you have 3 that you need today. Wish we caught the other ones sooner, but that's the board doing due diligence. So it's proof that the process works, right? For the record, you have proven to be very steadfast in your mission to deliver affordable housing. Not just talking about it, but delivering on that mission. And you've always put your best foot forward in these projects, and I'm glad to see you behind this one as well. So we'll see you again to talk about parking. Okay, so that concludes our agenda for this evening. Is there any other public comment?
I think Allison had something. Did you want to say something about the comp plan?
Oh, right.
About what?
Comprehensive plan. I think I may have sent it to you, I can resend it to you, but, so the city's in the process of public comment for the comprehensive plan, which is our 10-year vision for the future of the city. It's been created over a 1 to 2 year process with a comprehensive plan committee that Matt and I both sat on. So right now it's open for comment. This is a plan that will be used by this board to guide some decision making around land use. So it's really important to get some feedback from this board. Things you've seen here, things, ways we're going to guide development in the community. The comprehensive plan is also used as a basis for zoning updates. So if there's things you've noticed over your tenure on this board that might be able to be addressed in narrative form, not zoning changes at this point, but that would be something to highlight as well. But it's very long, so skip to page like 149. That's where you'll see the recommendations and strategies.
Where do we see?
On the city website. I'll send it to you in attachment.
Yeah, that was.
And we're accepting public comment until May 1st.
I do highly, I echo those statements. I highly recommend you guys check it out. Even if you find that you don't have any comment to offer, I think it would be very valuable to review just as a city resident. There's a lot of individuals put a lot of work into it, and obviously there's more work to be had, but it's worth reviewing. So that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? You have a second? Meeting adjourned.